Good evening, my friend. Welcome to WDW Radio Live. A few minutes late, and although I am in the home office, I am broadcasting from my phone. When it rains in Florida, sometimes the internet just doesn't feel like doing its thing, but that's fine. We make do with what we got. If you are here watching live, thank you very much for being here. Please do me a favor. Tell me where you're watching from and tag and invite somebody to watch in the chat. And if you're watching on the replay, please join us here every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Let me just share this out into the clubhouse. It is good to be back on solid ground once again after being on the Disney Treasure last week. We had an amazing time with our group on the Treasure. We'll have more to share about that coming soon. If you've been on the Treasure or are scheduled to go on the Treasure, please let me know. Gary Witt, it is good to see you once again. Speaking of the Treasure, I miss top 10 things I miss about the Disney Treasure in no particular order. Gary Witt, you are on there, obviously. Chicken Tenders, Marceline Market, the Haunted Mansion Parlor, Skipper Society, Coriander and Sage, that can count as one or two. Our WDW Radio group, Plaza de Coco, Castaway Key. I mentioned Late Night Chicken Tenders, didn't I? The Disney Tale of Moana show. Hannah Bird. I'm gonna send you. I need to send you a message tomorrow because this. I can't even get through it. So, and that is a good thing. Deb is watching from Frigid, Massachusetts. A lot of you folks in the Northeast are getting like pummeled with bad weather. It rained today, so we have this is like bad weather from a Florida perspective. Jim O, good to see you. Gary Witt, sunset from the top decks. You know, man, it's funny because whenever I cruise, it's one of the things I love to do. We had a 7-day cruise. Gary, I didn't get to do it once. I didn't get, just for one reason or another. It also was because our dinner seating was at 5:45 for those who were in the first seating. So I never got up to see it, but I did see a couple of sunrises from. I saw sunrises from Marceline Market. That's fine. That is fine. Doris is watching from Ontario, Canada. Gary says, "This is why you do second dining." I see. I need to do first and second dining and sort of like spread my dining out because I'm more of like a dinner and a show kind of guy. So I like having dinner early and then going to a show because if you do that, you eat, you go to the show, and by the time the show is over, you're ready to eat again. But if you do late seating, you've had like your show and then dinner. And could you really go back to back dinner and snack? Yes. I prefer to sort of spread out my snacking feasts as they were. Score Jason says, nice to see you on YouTube. Nice to see you. Dan Boyle watching from freezing Cleveland today, but warm Walt Disney World tomorrow. I did an interview today that I'm very excited to share with you guys next week with someone who originated from Cleveland. So the Cleveland has come up in multiple times in conversation today. Jim says, I see you have your Podcast Hall of Fame award display. That is our podcast. I'm just keeping it safe for all of you. That is our Podcast Hall of Fame award. I wish I could like replicate it and give one to each and every one of you because that is all yours. I'm just protecting it. Deborah Mickens, nice to see you. Angie says, watching from Eastern Kentucky where we've had flooding the past 4 days, winter snowstorm, 4 inches of snow, all in the same week. I am so sorry. Hopefully you guys get through that easily. Marissa says in Chicago, just came back from Disney. It's hard. I remember when I lived in Jersey, going from Disney back to, look, there's nothing, it's just like when the cruise is over, like just rip off the Band-Aid. I just want to get off the ship because I know it's coming to an end, but then having to go back from the warm weather to the cold weather, it's tough. Becky Mencken from Mouse Fan Travel says, sigh, you earned Becky, there was a very, very nice, unexpected, yet somewhat frightening moment for me on the cruise on the last day during our farewell get together. Becky and I got up and we spoke to everybody, and had a great discussion about potential future events. And then she pulled like a job. She's like, and one more thing. And there was a very, very nice, very humbling, very emotional conversation about 20 years of WDW Radio. I knew I was in trouble when Hannah came over and gave me, she gave me Doritos first, which got me very excited. And then she gave me tissues, and I was like, uh-oh, I'm in serious trouble. And if you don't mind me sharing, there was this conspiracy. There was a conspiracy behind my back and it's funny, I didn't realize it was going on, but Hannah presented me with this leather-bound book. My library is full of mahogany and leather-bound books, but this one was different because it is full of handwritten messages from folks on the cruise. I have not been able to get through this completely. I got through a couple, and I understand why you gave me the tissues. It was very unexpected and very much appreciated. And I realized after, because I remember sitting at dinner, and I would look up and I would see Hannah, who I had never met before. I saw Hannah just sort of flitting. She was flitting through worlds of Marvel. And I'm like, oh, she is you are the nicest person. I was like, she is so nice. Look at her just going and chatting with all these different folks at tables. Little did I know that you were having these signed. Becky says it was a conspiracy. It's hard to get away with anything since the roast. Deborah, it is an amazing gift. It is something I will absolutely treasure. I'm talking about the Doritos, but I will treasure this as well. And I've kept it on my desk. And over the last couple of days, I'll just sort of open it up occasionally and read one or two of the entries in there. It is an incredibly, incredibly meaningful gift. So thank you all for that. Andre says he's watching while waiting for Rise to resume operations, wondering how long we should wait. Andre, I know what's going to happen. The second that you're ready to bail, it's going to come back up. So it's already 7:40. Just hang in there, man. Just hang in there. Deborah, it was nacho cheese. They went old school nacho cheese Doritos, which as much as I love having my chicken tenders back in my stateroom, by myself, putting on a Marvel or Disney film, I had this incredibly wonderful, stupid, satisfied smile of watching those same movies, but this time with a bag of Doritos. I'm like, could a Disney cruise get any better? And in fact, it did. So thank you. The Doritos did not make it off the ship, but it is a compliment to you. So thank you all for that. I appreciate it. And thank you all for just being part of the group, experiencing that ship together with us. The first time I experienced the treasure was on a very short, very, very hectic media cruise back in November, where it was really just about gathering content, trying to experience as much as possible. And I know that there was a bit of recency bias. I'm like, wow, I really like this ship. I really fell in love with this ship. And I think it's not just because of the 7-day more relaxed itinerary, but there really is something about experiencing it together as a group. And if for those of you who are watching live and either have cruised as a group before with us or it's your first time, I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. And I love I sometimes, analogize it to being like a proud parent, where I watch and I observe the dynamic between strangers who become friends very, very quickly. And a lot of those friendships become very long-lasting friendships, and people end up making plans to vacation together again. And I see them in the same places at the same, over and over throughout the cruise. And that it just warms my heart to see that. Becky says, I think we need a 14-day group. Yeah, well, yes. Are you talking about a crossing? Maybe I think Panama Canal 10 days Either way, I'm completely down for it. Mary says the ship is better than the Wish. Mary, it is unreal because I admit that the Wish is not my favorite ship for a variety of reasons that ones we've enumerated in the past. It's incredible how the exact same layout from the Wish to the Treasure can feel and be so different simply by placemaking, storytelling, color palettes, soft goods. It feels like a different ship, and I'm still sort of like, is the Treasure my favorite? Or I mean, at the very least, it is very high up there because of places like the Haunted Mansion Parlor, because of Skipper Society, because of Plaza de Coco, because of Moana. I have never ever in 20 or so, whatever it is, years of cruising on Disney Cruise Line, ever seen Castaway Cay be a ghost town. I mean, a ghost town by 2:15 and then go onto the ship and see a completely full standing room only, turning people away at the door matinee. That's how good Moana is. And it's not because people wanted to see it in lieu of seeing it at night. It was seeing it in addition to at night because they said, well, let's see if it lives up to the hype. And for a lot of people, it did. They would go to the matinee, go to dinner, and then leave again because they wanted to see it again. And I think that is a huge testament to the quality of every aspect of that performance, from backstage to onstage, crew, cast. It was incredible. And I loved it even more now than when the first time I saw it on the media sailing. Let me just go back. Becky says the Panama Canal, great. Then again, so wouldn't a crossing westbound. We can just go back and forth. Just keep on sailing back and forth. Deborah says Cool Ranch are my favorite. I was very grateful for the nacho cheese, but I was like, wow, man, I could go now. Now you've got me thinking about Doritos as well and Cool Ranch. Score Jason says we got off the Fantasy 2 weeks ago. Enjoyed the flow, easy to get around. So Score Jason, the one thing that does come up in the conversation specifically about the Wish and the Treasure is the lack. It's the size of the venues, but it's also the placement of the venues. I think there's a lot of people who have cruised on DCL before. You do miss the adult district, and not because it's excludes kids, and maybe Becky feels like, not because it excludes the kids, but because it's very easy to get from venue to venue. It's just to pop into one, to go from Keys to the pub, to go to Evolution. There is something about, having those dedicated spaces. Because here, if you want to like go from one to the other, you're going from deck to deck. It's hard sometimes to find people. But that being said, and I just had a conversation with somebody today who has been very intimately involved with some of the attractions that inspired locations here, just how good the Haunted Mansion Parlor really, really is. Heather says, Treasure edges out Wish in my book, just for Sage and Coriander. You want to talk about two individual performers, crew members, cast members that move the needle? Coriander and Sage are it. There's such a fixture on that ship, showing up in so many different locations, so personable, so talented, so diverse in the things that they are able to do. Watching that dynamic, for example, in between the first and second seating in that grand hall, it is this miniature stage show that happens with just two people, very simple props, but is so incredibly well done. And then the shows that they have in Sarabi at night, the live entertainment is so elevated on the cruise. We talk about, Broadway quality shows on the other ships, it very much lives up to that moniker, and I think levels up the quality of the shows. I think Moana is just on a whole different plateau than even Beauty and the Beast, which is very well done on the Treasure. But that and Coriander and Sage and the shows in Sarabi and the shows that take place on in the Grand Hall, the live entertainment is exceptional. Heather says, I wonder if they were cast together or were brought together for the roles. I don't know, um, but they have such incredible chemistry, the two of them. And even when you talk to them in between sets, they're so nice. They're so personable. It really, Mary says, we ran into the shop. They were so fun. Like, that's what I mean. Like, you would just see them in these unexpected places throughout, as opposed to character encounters that are programmed into the schedule. Sometimes they would just appear, and it is those surprise and delight moments that I think make the experience even better. Jim Rohosky is still talking about Doritos, spicy, sweet, chili Doritos. Hannah says, I just rewatched the making of the Wish documentary since returning from the treasure. It seems so familiar, but different. It's a great way to describe it. Like, again, the bones of the ship are exactly the same, but it feels so very different. And it's personal preference. I know that there are some folks that the Wish is their ship. They love that feeling. But the color palette, the tones, I think even in places like the Grand Hall, we use words like warmth, those rich golds and blues, and even the color of the chandelier, which changes in such wonderfully dramatic ways depending on the stories that are being told, the time of day. It just makes for such a different. I think there's, and I don't. The only way to describe, we talk about warmth, the Wish Grand Hall feels colder. And it's colder because of the color palette, which again reflects the Cinderella, the pastel blues, the very light golds. So there is a brightness to it and an airiness to it, but it does feel a little bit colder as opposed to the Wish, as opposed to the Treasure, which just sort of wraps you up in this warm, comfortable hug as soon as you get on. And even to some of the smaller spaces, Becky and I sat more than one time. There's alcohol there, but it was not a bar. But we sat at the Jade Cricket Cafe and just had coffees and just watched people go by. And there's this tiny little, I don't want to call it a sweetheart table because it makes it weird, but it's a sweetheart table for two. And we just sat there and went over, future plans and things like that. And I really, really, really just fell in love with it. Mary says that 3 p.m. Moana show was packed, like sold out, standing room only packed. Heather says, I can't wait for the Destiny. I'm trying to go back on some of these. So Mary says, I know I'm in the minority. Beauty. So Mary, please do not misunderstand me. Beauty and the Beast is an amazing show, like on its own and even up against Moana. But Moana is just, when Te and Te come out, like it's breathtaking. And the quality of the performers on stage is just so very good. I completely forgot to turn my little light on. Oh, that's not helpful at all. Wait a minute, why is that so awfully bright? Let's do this. Wait a minute. There you go. That's a little bit better. I'm watching myself on screen here and on screen here, and I'm not sure which better or worse. Now I feel like the eye doctor. Better or worse? Better? That's worse. That's fine. Let's go. This is what happens when you are a one-man show. There you go. Grace Corba, from the aforementioned Mouse Fan Travel, says, I may be slightly obsessed with Coriander and Stage. I'd follow them on the next Disney cruise that they would be on. Joe GC says, don't forget how great the Haunted Mansion bar is. I had to keep stopping in to see it over and over. So, Joe, with regard to the Haunted Mansion parlor, when I was on the media cruise, I closed the Haunted Mansion parlor 2 nights in a row. And the reason why was because I said, well, it's never going to be like this again. It's never going to be this not full. I expected lines out the door, half-hour wait. There was not a single time that, for me, that I ever encountered that. There was not a time I walked in there and was not able to find a seat within 3 to 5 minutes. There's a video I posted on, I'm not sure if it's my stories or my reels. I am the only soul, me, the staff, and that's it, in the Haunted Mansion parlor, not at midnight, not at 1 o'clock in the morning, but 8:30 at night, that that sweet spot, that prime time when the second seating for dinner has started and the show in the theater had started, there was nobody. And I was like, this, and I love that. I love how there was never a time that you felt that you were being kicked out or rushed out to try and make room for one more. Allison says, so if you're saying that I decide to plan my very first Disney cruise in the future, the Treasure is a ship to book. Allison, I instead of the Treasure, I would instead suggest that you join us on the Destiny this time next year. I believe the dates are February 9th. I might be getting confused. Somewhere in, somebody look for me, please. Go to www.com/Destiny26, 8th to the 15th, 9th to the 14th, somewhere in that vicinity. It's the same ship. There will be a haunted bench and parlor, but you can cruise with us and you get a free no obligation quote from Mouse Fan Travel. Becky says, so different. And a 7-day versus 3-day 4. 7 is so, Becky, we used to talk about how 3 was too short. 4 was pretty good. 5 was kind of the sweet spot. 7 is the number. 7 is the number, especially if you've never cruised before. Start with a 3 or 4. Make sure it's right for you. But you're right. 7 gives you not just additional ports, but more time on the ship and a much more relaxed experience. It's like going to Walt Disney World and having a finite amount of time and trying to hit 4 parks, 2 water parks, Disney Springs, go to the resorts. You cannot do it all. That's sort of how I would have felt on a 4-day cruise, because by the time you get on and then getting that, that last night before you get off, there's not that much time, because you also have your ports. You have Castaway Cay, which whether you get off on the ports or not, you're definitely going to get off on Castaway. This really afforded you a much more. It was so relaxing. How relaxing was it? I'm taking my glasses off. It was so relaxing that, and I've carried the same book with me literally for years. I actually found time to open up my book and read a little bit, which for me is very uncomfortable, but it was a gift, and it gave you that luxury of time, which I absolutely loved. Grace, answering the question about the Treasure. Treasure, there's so much that goes into making that decision, but the Treasure is a fantastic option. Jennifer Subco, hello Lou. Hello Jennifer. Let's see if I can make the little heart thing happen. Oh, I don't know if it does it on here because I'm on my phone. Well, there you go. Right back at you. Sue Passauer, also from Mouse Fan Travel. Destiny is February 9th through the 14th, 2026, not 2025. It is a 5-night cruise. So that is also too, because I understand not everybody can take a 7-day, or if you want to do a land and sea, 5 is the right number, right? Whether you do a couple of days in Disney before or a couple of days after. Heather says, I love the Jade Cricket and Hey Hey cafes. So Jade Cricket and Hey Hey are in the same location on decks 4 and 5. I like Hey Hey, I like Jade Cricket on 5, just because there's a little bit more seating. It's a little bit more chill. I think Hey Hey has a little bit more of almost a bar feel to it, and just seats at the bar, where Jade Cricket has a couple of tables as well, and just some great views as well. Amy also says, I love River Cruises better. It's not, I think it's apples and oranges. They are two completely different experiences, and I fell in love with river cruising when we did the Christmas markets Nat Geo cruise last year. I loved it so much. How much did you love it? I loved it so much that we're doing it again this year. Becky, please correct me if I'm wrong. We still have room for our WDW Radio Adventures by Disney River Cruise on the Seine this September. But wait, there's more. Completely optional. Before the Seine, before the River Cruise, because we're in Paris, you have to see Paris. We're doing what's called an Adventures by Disney Escape. It's like a mini ABD, like 2.5, 3 days, Becky, before the River Cruise, which you can do. And then after the River Cruise, because we're there, we can't not go to Disneyland Paris. So you can choose any or all to do together with us, but I cannot wait to experience the Seine from that perspective and on that type of ship. A very, very different, much more relaxed experience, I think, on a river cruise. But you also get to see so much, because you're able to hop on and hop off. I mean, in port, not while it's moving. Hop on and hop off and see so many different things from a single sort of destination. there's a lot of appeal to river cruising as well. What's the poster behind you under the choose the good sign? I'm assuming you mean this. This is Daredevil. That's one of the Diz plates. Remember I used to talk about Diz plate a lot. They're magnetic. They're sort of almost like a heavy aluminum, like magnetic, so they're very easily swappable in or out. Becky says Moana is a different level. Both shows are amazing. Jim O'Neill. Love Jim O'Neill. Love Jim O'Neill and his whole family. And when Jim O'Neill brings his family, it's not just like wife and son. Jim like rallies everybody. Jim has like his own little mini group, and I dig that about you, man. And nobody, first of all, you guys are so much fun. And congratulations, because you and your son collectively and individually won so many trivia contests throughout the thing. You were like Michael Phelps, like walking around with all of your medals on. So congratulations. Sue Passero says, the big difference being able to experience ship for 7 days. I don't think I could do shorter cruises any longer. Stephen Williams, my longtime friend, fellow, well, you're soon to be recovering attorney, I think. Treasure was so much better than the Wish. I was surprised at the difference. Tom Eckert, what if they make the kids area mandatory so the whole ship can be an adults area? Boy, Tom, it's funny. We talk about this all the time. I think the kids areas, the kids club areas on the Wish and the Treasure, which are nearly identical, are outstanding. It's funny because the kids want to go to the adult areas and the adults want to go to the kids areas. And if they could somehow make those accessible other than just the open houses, and this is one of the things that we sometimes have been struggling with on recent cruises. Years ago, back in time, one of the things that we used to be able to do as a group is we would do a kids club takeover. So at midnight, we would all go down from our WDW radio group. We'd go down in our pajamas, usually leaving one of the bars or lounges in the adult district. And they would open up the kids club just for us. The counselors would be there. They would play games. So they loved it because they got to do things, but with adults acting like kids. We got to be kids again and play in the entire spaces. It was only just us. We haven't been able to do that again. It's one of the things we're going to continue to endeavor to bring back in the future, because I agree. I think, so for example, on the Wish, we talk about the Hyperspace Lounge, which is a great space, but I think it becomes, I think after your 45 minutes, you're ready to leave. If they could take the Star Wars experience from the kids club and put that into the Hyperspace Lounge, it brings on a whole different look and feel. And I think for a lot of us who are longtime Star Wars fans, would really love to see something like that. Mary says the non-Disney shows were amazing too. I think Seize the Adventure, I'm not normally like a welcome show guy. I think Seize the Adventure is so good and so fun and tugs on the nostalgic, sentimental heartstrings, which the entire Treasure Ship does, which is, I think, why we like it so much. We have an emotional connection to the Haunted Mansion. We have nostalgia with Periscope Pub and Skipper Society. Those are the things that make this ship feel different. Disney's all about how it makes us feel. That's why the ship feels different, not just in tone and story, but how it makes us feel in return. Inquiring minds need to know, new camera angle. Did you discover it's your better side? I don't have a better side. My home internet was being wonky before we went on, so I'm on my phone, which is why I'm not pulling up all the graphics and stuff. So I'm on my phone as opposed to being on the computer. So how does it look, and two, how does it sound? I'm sort of, by the way, this, I want to thank, wait a minute. This is my Nelson and Murdoch shirt, which was a gift. I'm not sure if Dawn is. It was one of my fish extender gifts, which is funny. As I was wearing it on the ship, some folks would come up to me from our group and be like, "Oh, Nelson and Murdoch, was that the name of the firm that he used to work at?" And I wonderfully, jokingly laughed about it for not. So it's a Daredevil connection. So Matthew Woolley says, "Can't wait for the Destiny. I am with you, brother." Richard McFarland says, "I can't wait for August and my trip on the Treasure." A lot of people saying 7 is the sweet spot. I think definitely 7 becomes a sweet spot. Again, understanding that it's longer, it's more difficult sometimes to be able to take longer trips. So Steven says 7 was very relaxing. Let me just quickly catch up. So, Tim, did they show the Super Bowl on the funnel? They showed the Super Bowl on the funnel. They showed it in Periscope Pub, and they also showed it in the Hero Zone. They put about 125, 130 chairs in the Hero Zone. So it gave you another venue inside that you could watch from. They had a bar there, so if you wanted to get drinks, kids were up on the second, by kids, I mean like teenagers, up on the second levels, like playing ping pong and doing things like that. So you had a lot of different options depending on where you wanted to watch. I mean, I guess you can call it a game, whatever that thing was, minus the commercials. Yeah, no commercials, which would have been better than the actual game for some. Again, I was on a ship last year, also during the Super Bowl, sitting outside on deck, and I was watching the game on the screen, the funnel screen, but I had a VPN on my laptop, so I was able to VPN into another location and watch. So I was watching the commercials on my laptop and watching the game on the big screen. Hannah says my dad watched the Super Bowl in the Hero Zone. Breaking news: Sun River Cruise is currently sold out, but we can add people to the wait list. But that means we need to talk about the next one, Christmas markets on a new river. I'm expecting an email from Becky any second now. Not saying, listen, Becky and I, we have plans are in the works. I know what Becky's going to say. She's going to send me a message, and the number 2027 is going to be in there. And that's when the palpitations start up, because that's how far in advance we're already planning a lot of stuff. Hannah Bird says they should do a Freaky Friday, day or night, where the kids can go to the adult areas and the adults can only go to the kids areas. That's a really interesting idea. So the Haunted Mansion parlor is accessible to kids up until, I believe, it's 8 o'clock. So at least kids can go in there. Adults can go into the kids clubs, but it's only during the open houses. And you really can't, there's no characters there. You can't play the game, things like that. But I like that. I like sort of that Freaky Friday type of idea. Becky does not. Becky does not want kids in her zones in any way, shape, or form. It's fine. It's fine. Let me see. Let me catch up on Tim Moore. Who is more undervalued, the Muppets at Walt Disney World or Saquon Barkley with the Giants? Both of those are tugging at my sad little heartstrings. I refuse to comment on either or both. I'm happy for Saquon, just not for his teammates. I don't really want to talk about the Giants right now. We're having such a nice night. Mike Armstrong says, hidden gem, Matt Grinke, Grinke, playing the Sherman Brothers medley in the Scat Cat Lounge. Scat Cat is one of those places that it's the intimacy and the size of it is what adds to the appeal, but the intimacy and the size of it is also a detractor, because that was the one place I was not able to go in and get a seat because of how good Matt and the other pianists were. However, I do, and thank you to whoever posted this in our Facebook group, Matt does have a playlist on Spotify that has those, what is it? It's the Walt Disney era songs. If somebody wants to link to it in here, I was able to sort of see it from the open bar side, but I was not able to sit in there and see him in the full show. Becky says there's a baby in a bar. I must hear that no less than 10 times on a cruise from Becky. She does not. Wait, I'm going to do a show, top 10 Becky quotes. Actually, I can't do that because 7 out of them are probably not G-rated, and I will lose my clean rating. Let me go back and see some of the other Garrett. I want to see some of the YouTube quotes. Totally agree about Matt and Scat Cat. Not a dry eye in the house. Tim Moore still talking about Saquon. I have to just go right by him. Joseph says, what's a good Disney cruise to try for someone who has never cruised before? Joseph, that's a great question. I'd love to hear Becky, Grace, Sue, other cruisers. I really do think if you have never cruised before, I think you would probably benefit from a 3 or 4 day cruise. I think you need to make sure that cruising is right for you, sort of dip your toe in the water. I think what will probably happen is you'll hopefully become so enamored with it that you'll want to say, I like this. Let me try another ship in the DCL or whatever fleet. Maybe I'm ready to do a longer cruise. And I think you start to sort of graduate. But I do think not having to sort of jump all in and do 7 days unless you're ready to, that's what I would do. And I think choosing the ship and itinerary is going to be personal preference. Do you want to go to the Caribbean? Is it more about the ship? Is it the destinations? Is it the departure port? Is it the time of year? Is it the themed cruise? Do you want to go on a Marvel Day at Sea cruise versus going on, a regular cruise? I think that there's a lot of things I still love about the classic ships, the Magic and Wonder. They are the smallest in the fleet. You would never know. You could never tell that they are 25 years old. There are spaces in there that I like better than the spaces almost. I think the Wonder the Wonder might still be my favorite of the ships because I love some of not just the dining venues, but I love the Promenade Lounge, which is themed after New Orleans with the streetcar and there's the Princess and the Frog and Dr. Facilier. Very subtle but wonderful theming there. And I do like the intimacy of a smaller ship. Do you not have some of the technology that is on the Dream class or the Wish class ships? Absolutely. But a lot of times too, you don't miss it. So I think each of the ships offers, this is not a very helpful answer because I'm basically telling you to try any of the ships. It really does come down to personal preference. Let me see. Let me keep going back here. I want to catch some of the YouTube comments that I know that I missed. Just because I can see them here, but I can't see them here. If I had worked on a Disney cruise, my first pick would be Kids Club, infants to toddlers. Loved playing trivia on the last Treasure Cruise with the WDW Radio group. Y'all were fun and a friendly group. It was nice to meet you. I don't know who FC Hambone is. So were you part of our group or just were hanging out with our group? Either way, we had a lot of fun doing trivia. We did bingo together. We went to some of the Sarabi Club shows together. That's one of the things I love with the group, because even if you want to even if you're going, you can go solo, but you'll never be alone unless you want to, right? If you want to sort of get away, you can. But it's always nice to know, because we had some solo cruisers, people who've never cruised with us before. No matter where you go, because we all had, I don't have it with me, do I? Because we all had our lanyards and credentials on, you know that there's always a friendly face there. All of our credentials have our names on it, so it's easy to identify. You don't have to worry about trying to remember everybody's name. You know that there is a friendly face that you have something in common with, no matter where you go. Heather says one of our favorite parts of the last cruise, the White Elephant. We had so much fun. This was maybe one of our best, if not the best, White Elephant exchanges. Everybody had fun. Everybody brought such cool, creative gifts. Everybody plays so nicely together. Like, it never gets like crazy or ugly, and nobody ever brings like silly gag gifts that somebody feels like they didn't get something that they would like or enjoy. It's always been a lot of fun. I think this was, and there were some really creative and unique and homemade, like whether it was 3D printed, painted gifts. It's downstairs. Some of the things were like handmade, like painted, literal works of art, like paintings of Castaway Cay. Really, really thoughtful and generous stuff that people brought. Let me see. Let me keep going here. We're doing the Wish 3 nights, not taking on the park. Oh, we're doing 3 nights taking on the park. We do not speak of for Mario World, says Amber Bramble. Listen, I just had a conversation again with somebody today about that, and I think what's happening at that place down the street. I do that because it makes Becky crazy. But I think what's happening over at Universal is, for some people, changing the way they are looking at and booking their vacations, spending more time there, dedicating more time there, dedicating more time to stay. They're breaking up their stay. A few days at Disney, a few days at Universal for Epic Universe. So I think that's going to be very, very, very interesting when it opens. And even now, Marvel Superhero Island is sort of this place locked in time. But man, I still dig me some adventures of Spider-Man. Michelle Carter, nice to see you. Lorraine says, our first was a 5-day in the dream and fell in love with Disney cruising. It's very hard not to. It is very hard not to fall in love. There's so many things I love about the cruising experiences, specifically on Disney. There are just things that, again, not better or worse, just different, like that resonate with me for a variety of reasons, including but not limited to the late night chicken tenders, which I made sure I had twice. 2 nights of chicken tenders, 1 night of Doritos. So, and some nights I was just so tired, I didn't even bother. Jim O'Neill says, I told Matt Grinke, about our private concert with Richard Sherman and a private time with him. He was intrigued and I think very jealous. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to meet Matt. I've heard nothing but amazing things about him as a performer, and just him, like you said, your conversations, just him as a good human beings. We're hooked on cruising. Mary says 4 days, 3 is too short, too much work. Yeah, because by the time you unpack, it's time to by the time you get on the ship, you go through like the drills and things like that and the welcome thing. You got like a day and a half and then it's time to start packing again, which is very depressing. I don't like the last night of a cruise. It makes me very sad because you get on the ship and you're like, oh, 7 days. This is great. It's going to feel, and even that first day, you're like, oh my God, 2 days go by. You're like, wow, it's going so slow. And then all of a sudden it's the last day. Like, how did that happen? How is it the last night of the cruise? There's so much more I wanted to do and eat. And it did not happen. Amber says it's fun seeing anyone in the group win bingo. We just root for everyone. It doesn't matter. And so many times, like so many people in the group got so close. Like standing with only one number left, you sort of hope that at least somebody from the group wins. Mike Armstrong says, I've made so many friends cruising with the WDW Radio group. I'm with you, man, and I appreciate you being there. You guys have so much fun. It was great to hang out with you on this. Did anyone bring a literal white elephant like the towel animal? No, but they sell, I should have bought one and given it away as a gift. They sell towel animals. I think there was like an elephant and a monkey as plushes in the gift shop. So you can bring home a towel animal, but it's not a towel animal that's going to fall apart, but it's actually a plush. Can't wait for the 7 days on the treasure in May. What is the number one must do and must eat and Becky must drink from Maureen Carey? The number one must do, I mean, I sort of hate to say the obvious, but even if you're not a show person, you have to see Moana. You absolutely have to see Moana. The Haunted Mansion is a given. I think missing out on coriander and sage would be an egregious oversight. That would probably be the one thing I'd say, because you might sort of dismiss it if you just see that on the schedule. Do not miss coriander and sage. The one thing you must eat, I'll tell you something, that second night menu at Plaza de Coco, I think overtook 1923's filet menu as the best. Can I say this out loud? Is it true? Is that the best menu on Disney Cruise Line? It just might be. It was that good. I stuffed 7 empanadas in my backpack, and I think I have 3 left, which I'm sure they're fine. And in terms of drinks, there are some really fun drinks in the Haunted Mansion parlor, as well as in Skipper Society and Periscope Pub. So are you going for the show aspect of the drink or the actual drink itself? I will tell you, I'm not a huge drinker, but on the media cruise in Scat Cats, they had this like tea service, but it's an alcoholic tea service. It was lovely. It was so elegant, and they bring out little tea. I really, really enjoyed that. Becky says, there have been some tussles over Baby Yoda socks. Oh, that's true. There have been some, and usually it's Becky getting very mad that she didn't get the Baby Yoda socks. Let me see. Looking forward to cruising on the Treasure in May. Not to change the subject, but is everyone caught up on their Spider-Man and Daredevil rewatch? I've started my Daredevil rewatch, Nelson and Murdoch. I am not caught up on Spider-Man. I'm hoping to do that tonight. I'm very impressed because I thought the Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show on Disney Plus, the animated, was really going to be geared for a much younger audience, and maybe it is, but I've really enjoyed it. I love the style because I feel like comic book pages have come to life. I won't spoil anything, but even with some of the changes to some of the characters, I think the stories are great. I love the villains that they've pulled from. It'll all make sense. There are some surprise character appearances that I really like, and I'm super intrigued to see the last 2 episodes, which I believe came out tonight. Becky says, I thought we were doing a group. We are doing a group rewatch. I mean, not like at the same, it'll take us, Becky, we are running out of time. It's February 19th, and Daredevil Born Again comes out on March 4th. I've got to get 3 seasons in like 2.5 weeks. I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't really start watching TV until very late at night. I have a lot to catch up on. Dan says, I can't wait for the best Marvel show to return. Dan, I agree with you, man. I've said it before. I will say it again. Whether people want to hear it or not, I still think that Daredevil, the Netflix Daredevil, which is now going to be, and they were going to continue that storyline in the way, and the dark and gritty and sometimes very adult and very violent, is the best stuff Marvel has put on screen. I think it is up there, certainly on the small screen, but I think even especially with some of the later releases, if I had to do a list, and maybe we'll do this one day, sort of ranking all of the Marvel movie and TV content, Daredevil is very high up there. Daredevil's top 3, possibly top 2, could be number 1. It might be an interesting thing to actually. There's a mystery. There's a Daredevil mystery box under here. Stay tuned. Let me see. Is the drink package included in DCL? Alcoholic drinks are not. Soda, tea, coffee, juice, all that stuff is included. Alexa says, I hear so many things about the DCL chicken tenders. One day you have to... Alexa, I'm taking my glasses off because it's important. I am not kidding. I don't know what and other people on the cruise are like, my God, Mangella, you're right. I thought you were a crazy person. I still might be, but this I'm right about. There is something about the chicken tenders from room service that are different than the chicken tenders you get on deck or in a restaurant. I don't know what they do at night. I don't know what sort of mystery kitchen they come from, but they are so good, and they just hit different. When you're back in your stateroom and you're in the little jammies, underoos, footy pajamas, whatever it might be, I don't judge. And those chicken tenders come in, you get the chicken tendies, get maybe a little cookie, just to sort of wash it down with. It's a good look. It's the simple things that make me happy, man. Like, I don't need a lot. I don't buy any merch. I don't think I spent hardly any. I don't think I spent, maybe I bought a couple of coffees. Yeah, I think that's it. Like, I don't need to buy anything. Those were my gifts to myself, were chicken tenders. And it's your 24-hour room service is included. You order all the little chicken tendies your little heart desires. All you need to do is, I always obviously give a gratuity to, let me see, how many people ordered chicken tenders after our last meeting with Lou on this guy? Grace says they have some wine packages available the drink of the day, no drink packages for purchases. Let me see. Jonathan says, this is why you do a 4-night, then you turn around and do a 3-night the next day. Jonathan, there is something to be said about that. I think I've only done that. Becky, we did that one time, and it was in 2012 for the Sherman Cruise, right? Because the Sherman Cruise was a 4-day, I think. And then we stayed on and did a 3-day. There was a bunch of us that stayed on and did. I think that was the only time I've ever done a back-to-back cruise. And you can leave your stuff. You don't have to unpack and repack. Leave your stuff in the room. You do need to disembark and then re-embark after that. Both ventures have failed. I've yet to order the room service chicken tenders. Both ventures, have you not been paying attention? I've been saying it for nearly 20 years. You just need to go back. Lorraine says, my husband is not a fan of chicken, but has chicken tenders every day. Says they are the best. They are. I agree with you 1,000%. Brian Dennis, the group that you and Becky have created are the best people around. Brian Dennis, thank you for that. But you, Brian, and you, everyone else, are the ones that created the group. Becky, don't sass me on this. I always say it's why it's called the Clubhouse. Like, I might have sort of helped create a place for you to come together, but you guys are the one that create the group. You individually and collectively, you are the ones who make this family this incredible place that it is. I need them to make the towel animal doggy from the recent commercial. That was so good. That was one of the first times in a long time that commercial sort of hit you in all of the feels. Melinda says, I won it, bingo. Congratulations. I had to split it with a few people, but all so much fun. Let me see. Sue says, don't miss the empanadas. Oh, God, the empanadas at Plaza de Coco are so all that second night menu, everything. You get the empanadas. What else I have? I have the empanadas and the enchiladas as appetizers, which could almost be your full meal. But that whole menu is so good. Becky says, my favorite zero-proof beverage was the jungle juice in Skipper Society. She orders it as a zero-proof, and then she's like, can you dump some vodka in there? Just sprinkle some vodka on top, just like a double pour, if you could. Those empanadas, just order a whole plate. God, now I'm craving Mexican food. Are you now called Mr. Empanada on the treasure? Oh my gosh, I'm so far behind on chat. Patrice Berberti, like your lighting there tonight. So good to see you, Patrice. Patrice, I'm using my phone instead of using my DSLR camera from my computer. So hopefully it's coming through. Maybe if it's a little blurry, maybe that's helpful for me. Let me see. Let me catch up here. Need to be season 3. Hands down. Thomas Swan talking about Daredevil. Season 1, hands down, best fight scene next to Cap Winter Soldier in the elevator. Thomas Swan, that is a one shot. If you watch, that is a single shot. The camera never cuts away. There's a few of those in Daredevil. I think there's one. There might be one in each of them. But that hallway shot in in season 1, is one of the best just fight scenes anytime, anywhere, Marvel or otherwise. Kelly Freeman says, going back to the White Elephant, you took her Yoda on the Wish. I lost a Loungefly and the Mater and Elliot Pete's Dragon popcorn buckets were also very popular items on the Wish. Yeah, it's why we implement the 2 steal rule, and some things get stolen very quickly. Poor Kenneth on this cruise, he must have had his stuff stolen 9 times. Like, I gave him, I don't have any here. I gave him, oh yes, I do. So treasure tickets. So one of the things we do on the cruises is I am armed, and Becky has treasure tickets too. And if you come to events, if you participate in things, if you answer random trivia questions, if you pay me compliments, whatever it might be, you'll get treasure tickets. And then usually either on the last night of the cruise, or this time we're going to do it after the cruise. We're going to do a cruise, post-cruise follow-up call. We're going to draw those tickets to win some prizes, sort of keep the magic going. I had to give Kenneth tickets just because of how many times the things that he had got stolen. Becky is judging my weird addiction to chicken tenders. It's, if you know, you know. Jonathan says the chicken tenders are the same that they sell at Cast Connection. Cast members and friends only shopping. But there's something about the fryer. I don't know what it is, Jonathan. Like, it might be the same product, but there's some sort of special magic that takes place. Maybe it's the ocean air mixed in with the oil. Whatever it is, it's something special. It's like, Becky's going to hate this analogy. It's like a White Castle cheeseburger. There are other places that use beef and have little square hamburgers, but it's got to come off the White Castle grill because it just tastes better. Clearly, I'm starving. I have not had dinner, and I had a very lovely lunch today. Whatever. Eddie Curtis is visualizing the magical kitchen. Hannah says, everybody else sleep in the hidden top bunk on the cruise. It's funny, Hannah, my kids used to, they almost not fight, but we would have to sort of rotate because they loved sleeping in the top bunk that magically comes down. Your stateroom attendant does for you, magically comes down from the ceiling. Mike Armstrong enjoyed me some late night Daisy's Pizza on Deck 11. The only thing I wish is that everything at Festival of Foods would stay open that late. That the Donald's, oh God, what's it called? No, the make your own taco and burrito, it is so good. But you're right, that pizza on Deck 11, I will put up against a lot of pizzas. And the fact that it's made fresh and there's so many, and you can get it late at night, oh my God, it's so much fun. I need to think of one. Becky, we need another research trip. Don't we need to go on another cruise soon for something? Just maybe let's go and we'll just do content around the food on Disney Cruise Line. We'll do a top 10. Wait, I like how this sounds. Top 10 things you need to try on Disney Cruise Line. It's purely food content. It would be a stretch for us, but I think we could do that. And if anybody wants to join us, feel free. You can come be part of. Let me see. And he says, I'm starving. Please stop. Tim Moore only bought the necessities. I got some coffees, bought the towel elephant with the sunglasses. Yeah, I think the only thing I spent money on was coffees. My wife may have spent more on other things, but that's fine. She's on vacation. And I've done it before where I've gone on a Disney cruise and I have not spent anything. The only thing I spent money on was gratuities for, that are included, but gratuities for the when they delivered room service at night. And I think that really was it. Otherwise, like my coffees and teas I just got from Deck 11 or Marceline Market or Cabanas. So I'm not fancy. I don't need very much. Mary says the bowl at the cantina was they're so good. And the bowls, the tacos, you just sort of make your own. And then there's like this little like fixins bar that has all the different sauces and stuff too. And the smokehouse, like Mickey's Smokehouse is so good. And even the grill, like the secret menu, which is not a secret, but I think most people go for hamburgers and hot dogs. They have like a bratwurst on a pretzel roll. Oy vey. It is, my God. I'm famished. Hannah says, even with 2 nights of Plaza de Coco and a day in Cozumel, I so enjoyed a taco from Donald's Cantina, especially with the salsa and hot sauce bar. I like that little fixins bar. I like being able to sort of like zhuzh it up however you want, just the way you like it. Let me see. Let me cut up. And forgive me, I know I'm missing some of the YouTube comments. I have to go back because I can't see them on my desktop. Amy says, I feel sometimes on vacations when I go for a week, I love a couple nights. I'm in bed between 9 and 10. Yeah, there was a couple nights, I'm with you, that I was in bed very, very early. And, I say it all the time because it's true. And we're all friends and family. So I have no problem admitting my many, many deficiencies and downfalls. I have a very tough time relaxing. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to sort of force myself to go back to the room, not open up my laptop, not get on my phone, and just fire up a movie on demand. By the way, all the movies are included too. So you have everything from Marvel, Disney Channel, Pixar, animated, Disney Nature, documentaries, um, there's a huge library of stuff to choose from, and I sort of force myself to fall asleep a little bit early and kind of reward myself. Katie says there's a shirt at Five Below that says chicken tendies. I absolutely brought them for my PJ shirt on my cruise a couple of weeks. Katie, was it you who sent me that? Somebody sent me a picture of that. Forgive me that I don't remember. Somebody sent me a picture of the chicken tendies t-shirt. Next time I go to Five Below, I might have to grab one of those, because I really don't normally wear like logo shirts and like graphic tees except nights for the show. But I think chicken tendies, I can really sort of embrace my inner chicken tendy lover. Let's see. Becky says, I just emailed him to schedule. Well, it's on my phone. I'm sure you did. Thomas Swan, I volunteered to be a research partner. Bo Ventures. Becky, I bet you we could do that. It would be interesting to see if we did, like, let me explain, like a flash cruise. Not a flash cruise, but like one day we're like, you know what? Next month, whatever it is, we're going to do like a 3-day cruise out of Port Canal. If anybody wants to come. And just go and do it. And it'll just be like a fun research cruise. No credentials, no all that. But just, and sometimes too, especially like if you're a Florida resident, you can get some great last minute rates on Disney Cruise Line that you can book through our friends at Mouse Fan Travel. They seek out all of those different, they proactively look for all those discounts for you. And as you get closer to a cruise, if it's not sold out, sometimes you can get some pretty sweet last minute deals. Becky, I think we need to figure this out. Like, we don't plan it. We just be like, hey, you know what? In 2 weeks, I got nothing to do. We always have something to do, but let's just do it. Let's just sort of do a flash cruise and make it happen. Mary missed all the sauces. It was so good. Chicken enchiladas at Plaza de Coco. Mary says, I didn't buy the internet, so I didn't get on my phone much at all. It's a nice break. Mary, I wish I could do that. I would love to do that, but I need, the world still spins for me. And the world still spins for everybody, but for me, like, I can't be that disconnected. I did love, you guys are all too young to remember, but there was a time when there was no internet on the ship and you got on board and you just put your phone in the safe and your navigator was a printed thing that you just picked up and, was in your room the night before, and that was part of the fun, is sort of going through it to see what the next day is. Now, your phone is so very much part of the experience, and even if you don't have internet, you can still message via iMessage or WhatsApp. So it's hard to be completely disconnected, which is a good thing. So if you have people on shore that need to reach out to you, they can. It's not incumbent on you getting internet. So God forbid there's an emergency, things like that, you're able to get it. But I would like to, I do wish I can. There's nowhere left to unplug. There's nowhere left to unplug. So Mike Armstrong watched Goofy Movie and I did watch Roger Rabbit one. I watched Roger Rabbit. I watched Age of Ultron. Roger Rabbit, Age of Ultron. It took me a few nights to get them because I don't, Roger Rabbit, Age of Ultron, and there was something else I watched. There was some sort of classic animated. I don't remember what it was. Let me see. Mary says it was nice back when you had. Yeah, they don't. You can go to guest relations, and I believe they might give you a paper navigator. I don't know, but I know you have to specially ask for it. But it almost was too. It was a souvenir to take home with you, and I certainly get sort of the environmental impact and the ease of having everything right on your phone. So hey, Tim says plenty of things to watch on the ship. The cruise ship TV. I didn't even know what Tanzanite was until the port shopping demo told me all about it. Yeah, if you want watches and/or jewelry, there is no want for any of those things, both on the ship as well as off. The coconut tres leches cake at Plaza de Coco, best dessert on any Disney Cruise Line ship, coming from Jim O'Neill. It's wow. Well, coming from a non-sweets guy, that's definitely up there. Yeah, that could, yeah, you might not be. I need to go back and see. This is why I need to go back and research. Because you make statements like that, I need to go and verify it for myself. Eddie Kern says paper navigators, our ancestors are rolling over in their graves. Becky's already missing cruising. If Becky wasn't here, I'd say Becky's husband, because Becky's actually home for a while. Becky's husband is also missing, Becky cruising. So, and there's a mean text going to come in any second. Hannah Bird says, I love your mantra of choose the good. Maybe you could also try choose the rest occasionally. I'm a work in progress, Hannah. I'm trying. I'm desperately trying. But I love what I do, right? And you know, I say this, I do like this, the stuff that I get to do, that I'm fortunate and blessed, and it's a privilege to be able to do and share with you. Like it does. It fuels my fire. I was saying to somebody earlier today, like, it's true. Like I will never complain about being busy or tired. Like it's a gift to have those things. And the day that I stop loving this, the day it stopped being fun for me, is the day that I'll stop doing it. But in the meantime, man, I'm going to savor and enjoy every second of it. You know, I would like to make some Daredevil time. Well, tonight I have to make some Spider-Man time. And then I'll have to start making some Daredevil time. I have to watch very quick. And I still haven't even seen Captain America yet. I haven't even seen, or I should say Hulk 3, but I have not seen it as yet. Mary Well says, we got so many nice little surprises from other cruisers. I'm fortunate. So I brought on, I had 1, 2, 3, I had 5 full-size suitcases that I brought on board. Becky's going to make a joke that it's for hair product. It wasn't. 3 of those were for things that we hand out for the group. So everybody in the group gets like a big, like logo. I don't have any up here. They're all downstairs. A big logo tote bag for their fish extender. They get drawstring backpacks. They get lanyards. There's a lot of stuff that we bring for our group for all these cruises, as well as like I have stuff that I put on my door, fish extender gifts, white elephant exchange gifts. So I had just one bag for like my clothes and stuff, and I had 3 extra bags. And thankfully I did, because people were so generous with fish extender. So we do fish extender groups. But see, I knew she was going to make the hair product joke. This just comes right off. I don't even use hair product anymore. Brian says, if there's only somebody who would go with you. Brian Dennis, what do you say? We have to get together and just grab a burger or chicken tenders or something. Paul Hoffman says, oh, glad to see. Oh, yeah, that's right. I have a giant. This is a different angle. I forgot. You can see more than maybe you normally do. Forgive the mess of the stack of books. These are just the books that I have. Like these are the books that I've been meaning to read, like urgently. Those books have continued to grow. That stack is eventually. I'm almost through one of them, and then I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I only have 11 more after that. That I'll eventually. It's very hard for me to like dedicate myself to reading, because my mind is just all. This is not a therapy session. This is not about me. This is about you. Mary says, I should have given you my stuff to drag off the ship. 2 of those are in the corner back there, filled with chicken tenders. Thomas wants his cap. I'm hopefully going to see it this weekend. My son is going to be home from school, so I'm not a huge fan of Mexican food. Are there options when dining at Plaza de Coco? Yes, Maureen, there are. So there is a kids menu, which I won't call anybody out by name, but somebody that I did dine with, who may or may not be here tonight and does not love children, actually orders off the children menu sometimes. So you can get burgers, you can get chicken tenders, and even if you talk to your server, sometimes they'll be able to make accommodations for you. So that's one of the things that I love about this is, one, if you have any special dietary requirements, if you have any special needs, I don't think anybody anywhere, whether it's theme parks, cruise line, is as accommodating as Disney is, including but not limited to the cruise line itself. So Becky says, Maureen, I was the person who ordered off the kids' menu. See, I didn't want to say it out loud. Mary says there's also a lighter menu that is more plain. And they will also make adjustments and substitutions. Again, I know somebody who I will not call out by name, who it's When Harry Met Sally. Every time she's like, okay, so I want the salad, but I don't want anything that comes on the salad. I don't want ranch dressing. I want blue cheese dressing, and not a little bit of blue cheese dressing, but a lot of blue cheese dressing. And the tuna, I want the tuna, but I don't want anything on the tuna. And I want the steak, but I don't want the sauce on the steak, and I don't want it medium rare or medium well. I want it just medium. It's about a 7-minute process, just from what I've heard, having this person order dinner. And I usually will, I will warn our server ahead of time. I'm like, oh, sister, you're in. But we had an exceptional server. For those who were on the cruise, how was your service? Like our server she was so good, and patient and accommodating with some folks. So, all right, wait, let me catch up. Becky says you can also ask for grilled chicken, etc. I do that too. Can I have grilled chicken, but like 6 gallons of sauce just to sort of drizzle all over it? Amy says make sure you explain by detail if you have any allergies that will. So they are so good when it comes with allergies and any sort of potential cross-contamination. They very much err on the side of caution, which I love. And it, there is a comfort level and safety level because we have people on board that have a variety of different allergies or special requests. Some are, very, very specific, and they're always accommodated. So Hannah says our service was so kind. Melinda says service was excellent. I have never really had bad service on cruise line. Like I've had great service, and there have been times I've had exceptional service on cruise line. So let me go back. There's a later menu. Jonathan says, let's do a tour of the office like the whiteboard. No, I'll give you a tour of the office, but you don't want to see. Actually, a lot of the stuff on the whiteboard some of it is outdated. I don't want to say outdated because it's still on the board, but it has been overtaken by some things that have jumped up to the top, which is part of the reason why I don't rest and I can't rest, because there's things I'm really excited about that I'm working on that I have not shared or even hinted to as yet. This is the part where Becky freaks out. That actually I had a great meeting yesterday with somebody, and there's a couple of things that are there's the plane is in flight for a few things that I'm really looking forward to share. And I think that's, it's why I do things. This is not a commercial, but it's why I do things like my momentum event. It's why I do the coaching, because I want other people to feel the same way about what they do every single day, because life is too short. If that intrigues you at all, reach out to me. Go to LouMongello.com. Come to Momentum. It's in Walt Disney World. It's during Food and Wine Festival. It's an amazing, transformative weekend, and I want to be able to help you any way I can. That's it. There goes my plug, because I'm really bad at trying to sell. Becky says we've witnessed, but like in real life, you bring it to the attention of the right people, it's solved quickly. It's why they ask if the service is good. Be honest is okay. Becky, no English, good. Becky, typing fast, no English, good. Do a walking. I'll give you a quick tour of the office before we finish for the night. Eddie Curran says, please accommodate Michael. I do like the fact that it is a completely judgment-free zone. When I say to the server, listen, I would like all of the appetizers, por favor. I would like 2 of the entrees, por favor. I even ordered a salad one night, which, I got a lot of funny looks, but there was a great steak salad. Becky, where was it? Was it in Worlds of Marvel? Was it the steak salad in Worlds of Marvel that was really, really good? So, Bob says the servers are exceptional. If you tell your server you like something, they will bring a lot of it to you. I mentioned I like whipped cream, and my server brought me a whole bowl. I will tell you a very quick story. It just reminded me of this. This was years ago. It was on our, I want to say it was our Alaska cruise, or it might have been one of the Caribbean cruises. Anyway, Um, During our cruise, it was somebody's birthday, and she had talked about there was something that she had liked and she had hoped that she could have for her birthday. It was like ice cream with certain toppings, and they didn't have it on board. When we got to port, the server got off the ship, took a cab to a local grocery store, got all the things that she liked, brought it back, and made it for her as like a special birthday treat for dinner. I continue to tell that story because it's a single example of the types of things that they do. Maybe not even to that extreme, but it is going above and beyond. It is exceeding expectations, which I think for Disney, for all of us, are already high. But it's those things that I'm like, that's it. That's the reason why. It is things like that that make all the difference, and why I love, it's not just the chicken tenders, why I love cruising so much. Amber Bramble says the Apollo almond croissants. Thomas Swan is still just like, can't believe the fact. Can't believe the fact that I have had a salad occasionally in my life. Jacob says from YouTube, was there a jazz group on the ship? I played in a show band on cruise ships for a few contracts once upon a time. They did. I remember. So there's a few. So there's the Victronics. No, it's Victronics that plays in the Grand Hall. There's also a trio that was playing in Skipper Society, and I don't want to say that there's another one that I'm missing somewhere. Oh, also in one of the shows in Sarabi. It wasn't necessarily jazz, but they were playing some older sort of vintage tunes, which I totally dig. I think, and again, Skipper Society and Tiana's on the Wish are great spaces. We've talked about some of the deficiencies in having sort of those, it being open air on both sides and having the entrance to one of the Haunted Mansion or hyperspace on one side, sort of the watch shop on the other. It sort of makes you feel like you're in a mall. However, if you can sort of suspend, sort of put blinders on, when they have like a nice little jazz trio in there playing at just, the right time and just the right volume level, those are really nice places just to sort of hang out, have a drink, have some food, because both places have a very limited, but they do have some menu items, like including beignets. It's a really nice place just to chill. That is definitely my type of speed. Sue says, I keep dreaming of the cream dessert with the fruit in it from Palo. Oh God. My God, it just jumped out of my head, and I'm Italian too. I should know this. Talk amongst yourselves, because now it's going to bother me. It's oh my gosh, my mother's rolling over in her grave. I'll come back to this. I'll remember. I'll figure out what it is. It begins with an S. I'll remember. I'll remember what it was. Zabaglione, not SZ. I was close. Remember, I haven't eaten in hours. Eddie Kern says, Gabagool. Yeah, so it's Zabaglione. Yeah. There, Grace Corba. Very well. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, yeah, it was a great cruise. We had an amazing group. Again, huge thanks to Grace and Sue and Lori and all the different Mouse Fan travel advisors that helped. There's so much that goes into the planning and preparation on this. So everybody from Mouse Fan Travel and Becky and everybody who joined us really just made this really was such a good group and such a memorable cruise for me for so many reasons. We started off on Friday with our panel at MegaCon. Becky was there. My son was there. Had a full house, which I didn't expect, especially being up against the 40th anniversary of The Breakfast Club. Gary Witt says, highlight of the cruise, the scavenger hunt. I have a very large pile of 160 question scavenger hunts. That's going to take me a little bit of time to grade, and then we're going to do a follow-up call. But you guys killed it. I did a couple of quick looks, through some of those. I tried to make it challenging. I tried to make it so I was like, well, there's no way somebody's going to answer every single one of the questions, and you did, and I'm very, very impressed. But I'm going to have to sort of lay them all out over the weekend and take a day or two. The last cruise, it took me literally an entire day to grade all of the scavenger hunts, and we still had people that that had near perfect scores. So, but if you like those scavenger, you almost slipped, Mangello. That close. Mary Wells' scavenger hunt lose tour. It's not meant to be torturous. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to help you explore areas of the ship that you might not have seen otherwise. It's not about the score, right? It's not about how well you do. It's I want those little moments of discovery or leading you to places that you might not have seen otherwise. Right? The font was tiny. I admit the font was a little tiny. I promise I'll make it larger next time. So Becky, it's going to cost us a few dollars more to print these out, but the font was a little tiny. Heather says, as much as we complained about it, which is now news to me, but okay. The scavenger hunt is so much fun. It forces you to look at all the little details of the ship. So yeah, that's part of the idea. It's not meant to torture you. But if you like the scavenger hunt, I've told you in the past, we've done nearly day-long quests in Walt Disney World and in Disneyland. We sort of create like an e-ticket event weekend and have done quests in the past, and you never know what might be coming in the future. So Mary says, I read it, looked for answers, I couldn't complete it. That is part of the fun. It also encourages you to engage with some of the crew members. I love, the crew members sometimes getting involved, and sometimes they can't find it, and then they're trying to work to help you get the answers. So it is meant to be challenging on purpose. So, all right, just because you asked very quickly before we go, let me pick this up and, oh, wait a minute, I can't turn it around there because I didn't get to see the whiteboard. We don't want to do that. So if you ask for a quick tour of the office, this is just a very quick look at what it looks like behind me. I very much embrace my nerddom and my fandom. We are all kids at heart, and I am very much a kid who has never grown up. So I've got everything from these are primarily like Daredevil Lego figures. There's a couple. There's a Baymax. There's a Moon Knight. Battlestar Galactica. These are my Battlestar Galactica originals from when the show came out in 1980 that I've kept since I was a kid. Same thing. This is my dinky Star Trek ship from 1976, 77. One of the greatest things my son ever did was secretly go out and get me this graded Daredevil. It was my very first graded comic. And just a bunch of other stuff that. This is one of my favorites. It is a Samurai Mickey Big Fig. I have never, ever seen this again. I've looked on eBay. I've looked on Facebook Marketplace. I have never seen these before. This was my original e-ticket and a map from Magic Kingdom from way back when. This was Jim Korkis's statue of Walt and Mickey. It's super heavy, and was very kind enough to let me have that. His family let me have that after he passed. This is our Podcast Hall of Fame trophy. Also very heavy, very pointy, super, super sharp. It's a weapon right there. This is my original 1977 Star Wars Han Solo blaster toy. That needs no explanation. Miniature 20,000 Leagues. Olszewski Main Street Electrical Parade. Here's my Lego Hokusai Great Wave. And there's my signed Stan Lee Spider-Man 700. My katana, just in case. And then just some other goodies. Yeah, and you're right, Hannah. All the things that are here mean something to me for one reason or another. This is my little sort of overseas Disney park tribute. This is one of my favorite. Again, I am not normally a merch guy, but wait, let me see if I can. Hopefully, it's wound up. I'll have to wind it up. Wait a second. This is from Mystic Manor in Hong Kong. This was the one thing I treated myself to. Oh boy, wait a minute. Hold on. It is the best $40 I've ever spent in a Disney park. This is Japanese Mickey and Minnie, my Daruma dolls. This is a Haunted Mansion puzzle box from, this is, I think it's 72, 73. It is like a little mystery box. Little Haunted Mansion collectibles. Yeah, so there you go. That's it. I'm a proud little nerd. I embrace it. My brother got me a signed notebooks. My brother and I always give each other like cool, nostalgic things. We used to have this pinball machine. My dad had this pinball machine in our basement, and he just gave me this year along with my 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea laser disc. Who remembers laser discs? I never had a laser disc player. So, I almost showed the whiteboard again. Let me do this before I make a horrible, horrible mistake. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Thank you very much for being here. I love and appreciate you so very much. Those are not empty words, but I mean it sincerely. And if there's ever anything that I can do for you to repay the love and the kindness and the gifts that you give me every single day, please reach out and let me know. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Lots of fun stuff coming up on the horizon, so stay tuned. And please feel free to reach out if you need anything, and I will see you in the clubhouse. Bye. I need to go watch Spider-Man and Daredevil and eat. I need to eat. Bye.